Yeah, well, it's like the first time you have anything, isn't it? Your first kiss, you're always chasing that. The first time you fall in love, your first pint of Guinness.
Yeah. Cody, my dog, loves it. Big Guinness fan.
How does he know? Why are you giving your dog Guinness?
Because when we're at the pub, it's like, one for me, one for the dog. Yeah.
Do you put it in his bowl for him?
No.
Is it one of those pubs that has dog food as well? Like the chef will cook like a roast dinner for the dog and things. Is it quite dog
we haven't had that,
cute.
but they have come out with like a sausage.
Yeah.
On a couple of occasions, yeah. Yeah. What was the last thing you worked on, man? Like, I feel weird, like you being in your company but not connected to a shoot.
Yeah,
obviously
it's nice to hang out and not have to worry about a camera and just talk.
Because we've had loads of like overnights where we've gone for a beer or some food or whatever, but
you're still in work mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the last job I did for you guys was Northern. No, it wasn't.
Right.
With me, it was.
Oh, it was with you, yeah.
TSS with me.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, G4. Yeah, which was a lot of fun in the Tesco's in Warrington.
Witness.
Begins with a W, it's the same. I always imagine that you work on like the most exciting stuff all the time, but I bet that's not actually reality, right?
It's hit and miss. I'm strangely trying to do more work locally. We moved to West Yorkshire and I'm trying to do more work in Yorkshire because for most of my career, you know, whether or not it's like a good thing or not, but I've worked outside of Yorkshire, certainly, probably outside of the north and outside the UK. So it is nice to do a job that's like 30 minutes away from your house. You know, it's like, yeah, that's luxury.
Well, that's like you with that
Tesco
TSS one, right?
Yeah,
like
5 minutes
on your doorstep.
Yeah. But what have I done recently? Well, what I've got coming up is probably more exciting. In a week I go to California. I got a shoot.
There you go, I told you.
Yeah.
Shoot in San Francisco for a couple of weeks, filming the Quail Rally, which is like a supercar rally and event. So that'd be fun. Yeah. And potentially Poland after that. But it's been weird because I've not done, like I was saying, I've been working locally and not done too many travel jobs. So, yeah.
Because when we first met, which was, I don't know, 3 years ago, maybe, I remember you telling me on the way to the shoots for Sitner.
Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Do you remember we were driving, you were in my little Peugeot driving to Northampton. This is the first time I met you, and you'd just come back from, where's that place near Dubai that's not Dubai?
Bahrain?
Yes.
I was with Ed there.
Yes, because I think you'd just come back from there.
Maybe, yeah.
I feel like that,
right,
yeah.
So did Mark know you before Cal?
No, I think
Ed recommended
me.
Oh.
And then the first job I was on wasn't with Mark, it was with Cal.
Yeah.
Right, I see.
So that was for something similar, right? That was like a supercar type.
Yeah, the Bahrain stuff was mad because essentially it's for a private, very wealthy private client and a production company. Essentially was there to document the testing of a supercar. It was an Aston Martin supercar that was a prototype, and this billionaire had one of the prototypes and was testing it alongside the actual Aston Martin team. So there was two Valkyries on the track, and he was just documenting the process for himself. I think ultimately he wanted to develop a platform for the endurance race, Le Mans, and he has the funds and the ability to bring in, I think there was maybe like 20 of us in terms of crew, loads of camera operators. Imagine all the camera operators you would need to fill out a Formula One circuit. He brought all those guys, and this production company managed it. Ed was responsible for doing a lot of the pit lane and a lot of the kind of like studio shots of the car. It wasn't in the studio. It was essentially in, I think it was Lewis Hamilton's his pit garage. So it was the one that Hamilton was in last. So Ed was shooting it in there, and then you'd have specific operators with like specific tasks. So it was, mad job. Amazing hotel, lighting, especially at night. You know, that circuit just comes alive at night. So it's beautiful. Yeah.
So you cut from that to a car shop in Northampton with me.
Yeah.
You're so lucky.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm so lucky in the sense of I am really lucky. that I get to make a living with a camera, regardless of what I'm shooting. And I feel so fortunate that is my career, because I'm a shy kid who never really thought I could do anything creative. And I got lucky that I'm able to do this. So whether it is shooting, whether it is being on a $98 million set that I've been fortunate to work on with the world's best talent in camera, lighting, acting, or whether it's a job, a local corporate job that I'm shooting for, Calderdale Council. For me, I approach it the same way. I want to give and do my best for the people I'm working with, the people who are alongside me. But I also do think I'm just very lucky still to be able to do this.
Yeah. It's such a mindset thing, though. I'm very intrigued to how you do that, to go from something as cool as the Bahrain stuff to literally do you remember the actual shoot in car shop, or is it part? What's the phrase when you?
I haven't decompartmentalized.
Thank you.
I haven't done that, no, but you just have so many shoots as what I would call dailies. So many shoots where you guys were living that project, whereas I would come in and support you guys at different parts, and I do so much of that sometimes it all blurs together.
Yeah,
but,
well, it's probably
what was
a
the
good
highlights?
thing.
Can you remember?
It's probably a good thing, wasn't it? Well, I mean, as a start off, we were just filming people talking about. I can't even remember what we were talking about.
Cars?
Yeah, but we were literally just in the showroom, weren't we?
Yeah,
of a car shop.
That's right. And didn't we go to a facility where they restore or repair or something like that?
Yeah, but I'm specifically talking about that first time.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
Because it's not a project that we like to talk about in the highest of regards. Just you weren't even.
I know nothing about it. All I hear is all the drama.
And again, well, it nearly made Con quit after a day. So I'll put it that way. It wasn't the best.
I think that was the first time I met Con. He really new to the company then as well.
Literally a week in or something. I think.
It was for there was a live thing, or there was some live event, and and that was stressful.
It was like the managers, I don't know, whatever they call it, expo thing.
Yeah, the NEC. Yeah, that was it.
But obviously, that's how we know you.
Yeah,
we know you as the. Well, I don't even know how would you describe yourself. I always think of you as a DOP, but obviously we've had you on jobs where you're just a cam op.
Yeah.
But that's how we know you, essentially, as a DOP, right?
Yeah.
Take us back. How did you first when you first picked up a camera, what were you doing?
Yeah, I was young. I started with an old Zenith SLR, so it's like a 35mm SLR, and when I put it up to my eyes, the world just seemed to make a bit more sense through it. Like the four walls, I could just focus on something, and I could arrange elements in the frame in a way that just made me feel the world's okay. Like this is my version of the world, and I'm happy with it. And I remember saving up. I had a milk round and a paper round, and I saved up for a video camera, which, to be able to shoot video, it was a sharp handycam. So it was like a huge unit that the screen rotated independently to the lens, and it took tape because I'm old, and it was a pain to edit because I had to build a custom graphics card for my PC that connected to this input board, and then the hard drives were barely quick enough to record stuff, and it was a whole process. But I just made silly films, silly stories with my mates after school, and then it got to a point where I spent more time doing that than going to school. But I never ever thought I could turn it into a career. I mean, I was not doing well at school. I was failing classes, and my GCSE results were awful, and I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? I never really worried about it, but I never thought I could work in a creative field. And then I fell onto a media course randomly at Barnsley College of all places, met 3 tutors who completely changed my worldview. And without those guys, Steve Turnbull, Sam Wilson, and Darryl Ford, I would have been absolutely lost. And I dread to think of what would have happened to me. And it's one of the reasons I'm a passionate advocate for media education with young people, because it saved my life. It gave me a direction and a purpose. Without it, I'd have been screwed. So it's one thing that I'm passionate about and have tried to involve in a lot of projects. It's why the role that gets cut the most on a camera team is your camera trainee. And I think it's the most important role to include, because it's passing on those skills, but just giving someone a bit of purpose and direction and a chance that might not have had that, you know.
It's so funny that, like, well, I don't know, I'll say everyone, but I started off also making silly little videos with my mates at school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at that time, I had no intention of, like, oh, I'm going to be a video producer or filmmaker or whatever. I was just like, knew that interested me, and I was just pissing about with my mates.
Yeah. Did you ever share the videos that you made? Like, did you put them out anywhere, or were they just like?
No, they were on YouTube somewhere. Yeah,
yeah, mine aren't. No, you don't want that.
I don't think they are now.
I acted in a lot of mine as well. I starred in it because there was, you know, essentially we were just light on talent, and not to say that I was talent, but we were just needed bodies. So ultimately, you know, you were shooting it, you were directing it, but you learn so much of everything in that process. I think it's really good to go through that. And nowadays, all those skills are probably, it's so ubiquitous because everyone has a great camera in their pocket and access to these tools, which is great. I mean, allowing all this technology, the democratization of, I guess, of film production has been such a great thing, and has allowed anyone to make, you know, great looking, interesting content, it was a bit more difficult when I was coming up, but yeah, still loved it and learned loads. But I'm just curious because I know your motivations, but why did you get into all this? What was like?
Oh, bloody hell. I spent from end of high school kind of upwards wanting to be in front of the camera.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I did a lot of acting. And then it's when I got to my first uni that they had a course where it was acting and film theory. So I was like, oh, all right then, I'll just kind of throw it in the mix. Because that's also when I did my Mandarin as well. So I did that on the side. So I was doing quite a lot of different things.
Hang on, you just said that as like a throwaway comment.
Yeah.
All right.
I was told you that.
Did you already know that?
I didn't know that.
Did you not know that?
No.
Oh, well, I did Chinese for 3 years. But it was like, it was an option. So you could do a language in replacement to one of your other courses. So that's what I did. But then during that 3 years is when I realised that I was looking more forward to the film classes than I was to my acting. And I completely lost the love of the acting, even though I'd done it for so many years. And I absolutely smashed all my film ones instead. Very closely failed the acting ones because I didn't put any time into it anymore. And I started spending majority of my time just watching films. I finished that uni, came out with all the grades that I wanted. And then I thought, I don't really know what to do because I'm now kind of new to this sort of genre, that in my second uni, I was like, I'll just go for a master's, see what I can get with that. And that's then when I did a full year of that, had more practical in it, ended up doing like a load of physical films, worked a bit with BBC, made more contacts. And then I just kind of put myself out into Manchester a bit more because I was very new to Manchester as well. I didn't really know where to start. Got on LinkedIn and then found these guys. And luckily at the same time, they were looking for someone to help out. I was like, I'll help out.
And because obviously you're very organised, very meticulous, you've thought producing was that what you wanted to do, or yeah.
I've always loved the idea of just like kind of not containing people, but like
that's a concern.
I've got this basement at
home.
So how? Because obviously Jess was like very like producer orientated, that's kind of direction she wanted to go into, but you were like way more like, I'm going to pick up a camera and make things look cool.
Yeah, producing came as a necessity because no one else had given me an opportunity to shoot stuff. So ultimately, if the projects weren't there, you just create your own. And then a bit like we were talking about learning about the skills of production, you would make those by just doing stuff and making mistakes. Producing was the same thing. It's like, well, I need to work out schedules. I need to maybe script this, storyboard this. I need to find the money for this. Like, how am I going to pay for it? I need help. So what are the roles? Where can I draw those skills from? Yeah, it was just the mother of necessity. And I'm not good at it. And occasionally I still do it. But generally I work with way better producers from like all different walks of life who are just experts at putting that thing together, and they do it brilliantly, So yeah, I just knew that was my skill. The older I got, the less I directed. I've directed a couple of films, and the more you just realize that, my skill set is in the image, and that's what I want to take care of in support of the story, whatever it is.
And then when that happened, did you notice like career enjoyment in the industry go boom? Once you kind of went, I'm going to more or less ignore all the other roles and just focus on.
Yeah, I think what happened was, you don't know what you don't know. And you think, I know about this subject. And then when you start to become a specialist in it, you go, I have no fucking idea about this subject. And the whole world of cinematography, despite me using cameras daily, became much bigger and far more interesting. And I think that's happens over the course of my career, where you're becoming more specialist, but the craft itself just expands beyond anything else. And it becomes, for me, it becomes more enjoyable. Also because ultimately I'm there to like serve you guys, the story, the director, and a part of that is trying to make the best image possible. But also big part of it is not getting in the way of that process. And when I was younger, probably had a bit of an ego thing where the image was everything. And if you get in the way of that, I'll tell you, or I'll be upset about it. And at some point, that's not conducive to creating something as a team, so that, it's been a big lesson. Yeah.
I've always thought this when I'm working with you, depending on what the project is, like we've worked together on, it's fair to say, on different levels of
loads of
production,
levels,
right?
Yeah.
So like we've done stuff like G4S, more like the agency that we work with, their kind of stuff's like a little bit more here. And then we've also done stuff that is like
just a camera,
like your daily, like what you described as daily stuff, but like not to blow smoke, but like you've always like your approach has always been the same, more or less, in like how you go about it. Like, I mean, has that always been a thing? Because surely, like, you're only human. Sometimes you struggle with like, I don't know, having the same level of enthusiasm, motivation.
I'm just very lucky that I love what I do, and it occupies a lot of my thoughts. So like little workflow refinements to make my job easier. I'm constantly thinking of that, constantly looking around in here. It's like, what are these guys doing? Is there anything I can build into my workflows? So it never switches off, for better or worse. And maybe there's a part of it that comes from like the military. I was in the RAF, so there's a certain organization that was required from that. There was a lot of people around me who I really admired, who, fellow professional camera operators, who the way that they do things is just very ordered, very controlled, very professional. And I don't know, just, I want to be there. I want to be creating images and doing stuff. So I think that positive attitude comes along. I mean, 12, 13 hours into a really long day, freezing cold, wet weather, whatever. I think we all become a little bit grumpy, don't we? But at those times, it's about sort of, for me, I always think dig deep, bring out a bag of Haribo, or, like try and motivate people, especially if you're a DOP, because as a DOP, essentially you're there as management on a bigger job. Everyone knows how to press record on a camera. You've got a focus puller who's doing that for you anyway. You are there as the go-between between the director and your crew, and you are trying to manage and keep everyone on time and keep everything smooth. You're a middle management guy. So when it's that level, then I think you want to try and motivate and keep the team going as best as possible, and also worry about the image. But you just have to admit that you're probably the only guy really on set who cares about the image. Everyone else, like the AD's worried about time, soundies worried about, making sure the audio's good. Your focus puller is sharp, but you're trying to look after the image, and hopefully your director cares about the image.
Yeah.
And then maybe you're on to something. If not, sometimes you just, you're on your own.
I'll tell you what, if we were 12 hours in and you went Haribo, wouldn't that solve like any issues I was having?
Yeah.
How many times have like we've been like near the end of a day and I was like, I just need some food. Give us a snack.
Yeah. That's you at the start of the day.
Yeah.
You mentioned the RAF in very fleetingly like passing terms there. I know Jess is very interested to know a little bit about that because
it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
I had no idea about it until you mentioned it. I was like, wow.
I can't remember what project. It was probably that Sytner project because it was around the time that we first met. And I remember we were driving back from somewhere and we stopped at the services and very, very much like you just done, you was like, well, I can't remember what we were talking about, but you were like, oh yeah. And then like when I was were you a photographer in the RAF?
Yeah, of sorts. Yeah.
When I was hanging out of a helicopter taking photographs, and I was like, what?
Hold up a minute.
Hang on.
Yeah.
So when was that? When was that in your like the lineage of your career? Like,
so I went to college, went to university, thought. I didn't really know what I was going to go into after it all kind of came to it. I probably thought I'm going to move to London, start as a runner, maybe work my way up the camera department or something like that. But ultimately, I worked for Apple just for a year. I got a job as a consultant, so essentially helping Apple users do creative stuff with their computers, which was great. Got to meet Marianne Hobbs, Chris Moyles, Stephen Fry, some like really cool people. But ultimately, it was a post-production role, and I just missed being out in the world. And a mate of mine was he was putting a production together. It was like a pilot project for the BBC. He wanted to sell it to the BBC, and it was going to be in the Himalayas for 6 months. So I quit my job, bought a Canon XF305 mini DV camera. I was like, I want to be B camera for you. Went out there as sort of camera assistant, B camera, and did that and learnt loads. Learnt that I needed to toughen up. Learnt that I despite very difficult physical and mental situations, you can endure, and learned what a good leader was and what a bad leader was within that limited scope of the people who run that project. And after that was the motivation. I was like, I would like to do more of this adventure kind of high pressure, difficult situation photography and camera operating. There was a squadron called 606 Squadron at RAF Benson, and my commander, Gary Lane, squadron leader, wing commander now, and he essentially was looking for a photographer to go in as a reservist. So it meant I could build my freelance career, go in as a reservist, and essentially shoot stills and a little bit of video on behalf of the squadron, which was a helicopter support squadron. So essentially I specialized in helicopter operations, mostly Merlins, but Chinooks, Pumas, a little bit of Army Air Corps stuff. And because there was such a demand for photographers at the time and for my role, and I did quite well, I was quite good at it, I just got the option to do more and more, and it just became bigger than I ever thought. So it was a long onboarding process, and I shot as a civilian, and then you go and do your basic military training. So you join effectively, and again, politically, I joined under what's called MT flight. So it was essentially as a driver, and then managed to get training off the back of my boss just being able to get me onto the right courses to then develop opportunities. So I suppose I wasn't a member. Normally on an RAF base, you have a photography section. So I wasn't attached to any photography section, so I was quite an anomaly, and no one really knew what to do with me. But ultimately, the fact that my direct superior was a squadron leader was very helpful in getting opportunities. And I spent a lot of time in the US. I got to the base where they shot Top Gun, El Centro, in Southern California. I spent a lot of time there, hot and high training, Black Hawks, Merlins, Chinooks. That was a lot of fun.
So obviously, as we've said, not wide, that's a weird way of saying it. Vast career. Surely you fucked up at one point.
Biggest thing I've messed up on. I think we've all done silly things on set, like forgotten something or dropped a ball. I'm touch wood. I'm lucky nothing serious has ever really gone wrong.
Next shoot, you're gonna forget all your kit.
Yeah, I know.
Open the boot. Where's all my kit?
Yeah. So on one job, it wasn't strictly me, but I should have also remembered, because the buck stops with you when you're the head of the department. It was in Istanbul, and we were filming at the Hagia Sophia, so a beautiful place. We prepped all the kit the night before, and we're traveling from the hotel, and we're heading over there. And we get to the location and I'm just in awe. Like I love travel. I love history and being in these places. I'm just looking at the building. The boss comes over, the director, he's like, okay, we're going to get a camera up. We want to set up for the first shot. It's this guy who's selling like sweets and stuff on the side, and one of the characters is interacting. It's like, oh yeah, do the wide. We're on 35s. We're talking about lenses. Have a look on Cadridge. Have a look on the app. Yeah, great. And I was like, okay, get the camera to my focus puller. And he's like, okay. Comes back. He's like, we've got no camera. I'm like, why haven't we got a camera? He's like, I think I left it in the garage when we were packing the van. And he basically hadn't put the camera in there. I was with him doing this, so I should have seen it. So I'm like, okay, can we get the camera? He's like, yeah. So he goes to the producer, starts having a conversation about getting back. I have to then have a very difficult conversation with the director. Luckily, we're waiting for lighting and talent to arrive. So the director just laughs about it, luckily, and takes me for an espresso with me, the gaffer, and the director go for an espresso. 20 minutes later, the camera turns up. Luckily, no one had nicked it. It had just been left there because it was in this car park, this relatively secure car park. And we just start shooting, and that's it, forgotten about. But I feel like that's on me.
I bet your arse dropped.
I was trying to protect the crew, but trying to be, you've got to be open and honest with the director, and just trying to make sure that when we get going, let's get going, and this is the only fuck up of the job, or certainly the last of that leg, so that's probably been the biggest, not strictly me, but I do feel responsible for it. If we got time, sorry, Con, I might have just one more, and again, it's not me strictly, but it is my station. So there was, for the Fisherman documentary, we were interviewing young people who had been on this program that would like this course, working with Malcolm, working with Leo, learning like traditional skills, helping their development. So we go to Innsbruck, we get a budget, we go to Innsbruck, we're shooting these great interviews with these young people, once in a lifetime opportunity. These interviews are quite foundational to the outcome of the story. And weirdly, there was a youngster who did a little bit of sound recording for us in the village. He just wanted to be involved in the filmmaking process, and we needed a sound recorder. It's nothing like dialogue related, but just holding a boom, capturing a little bit of sound. So it was great to give the lad a job. Maybe he would have gone into that as a career. He didn't. He became a fisherman. But there you go.
Petties.
Yeah. But ultimately, he used this kit before. So we were filming the last interview of the day. Looked great. It's in this beautiful hotel looking over Innsbruck. Like, great. We've shot like 4 interviews. Starts recording it. Great. Don't think anything of it. We wrap. Thanks, young man. I'll not say his name. And hugs, everything. Everyone goes away. Get to download that night. And there is no audio apart from that last interview. And he'd essentially, at the start of the day, he thought he was starting again. Formats the card, because that's what you would do at the beginning of the day. Wiped everything. So we had no good audio of 3 interviews, just the last one. And there's no way to do those interviews again. So we were screwed. Well, luckily, we used very small parts of the interviews, and I did go back. I just decided to go back on my own dime, and we did ADR, and I said, like there's one character, Milena, she says exactly this. I was like, can you say exactly that? And we matched her words. We did it in a studio, and luckily we got away with it.
I was actually about to say, do you do like some kind of voiceover?
Yeah.
Match it up.
It's like voice dubbing.
Yeah. Well, they do it all the time in on big stuff, because a lot of the time your lavs, you can't mount a lav, or you can't get the boom in the right position, or it just doesn't sound good, so they'll replace it. But yeah,
Christ.
that was a big one as well. And that night,
Problem solving. But
that night, Mark and I went to the pub. There's a great bar in Innsbruck called Kravogel, and it has this drink called Doppelmalz, and it's the most delicious beer. It's so good. And we were so depressed, but we just hit maybe a lot of them, drowning our sorrows, thinking we were screwed. But yeah, we got away with it.
These things happen, though, man.
These things happen, yeah, and it's a good story.
And they'll continue to happen, I imagine. We like to think they won't, but mate, honestly, thank you for coming in.
My pleasure. Lovely to talk to you both.